The complete works of Swami Vivekananda, Volume 1, Section 3, the Rajyog, Patanjali Yoga Aphorism, Chapter 1, Shlok 19. This samadhi, when not followed by extreme non-attachment, becomes the cause of the remanifestation of the gods, and those that become merged in nature. The gods in the Indian system of philosophy represent certain high forces which are filled successively by various souls, but none of them is perfect. Shlok 20. Shraddha Virya Smriti Samadhi Pradnya Purvak Itaresham. Shlok 20. To others, this samadhi comes through faith, energy, memory, concentration, and discrimination of the real. These are they who do not want the position of gods, and even that of the rules of the cycles. They attend to liberation. Shlok 21. Success is speedy for extremely energetic. Shlok 22. The success of yogis differs according as the means they adopt are mild, medium, and intense. Shlok 23. Ishwar Pranidhanat Va. Ishwar Pranidhanat Va. Or by devotion to Ishwar. Shlok 24. Ishwar, the superior ruler, is the special Purush untouched by misery, action, their results, and desires. We must again remember that the Patanjali philosophy is based upon Sankhya philosophy. Only in the latter there is no place for God, that is in Sankhya philosophy. While with the yogis, God has a place. The yogis, however, do not mention many ideas about God, such as creation. God, as the creator of the universe, is not meant by the Ishwar of the yogis. According to the Vedas, Ishwar is the creator of the universe. Because it is harmonious, it must be the manifestation of one will. The yogi want to establish a God, but they arrive at him in a peculiar fashion of their own. They say, Shlok 25, he in him becomes infinite, that all knowingness which in others is only a gem. In him becomes infinite, that all knowingness which in others is only a gem. The mind must always travel between two extremities. You can think of limited space, but that very idea gives you also unlimited space. Close your eyes and think of a little space. At the same time that you perceive the little circle, you have a circle round it of unlimited dimension. It is the same with time. Try to think of a second you will have with the same act of perception to think of time, which is unlimited. So, with knowledge, knowledge is only a gem in man, but you will have to think of infinite knowledge around it, so that the very constitution of our mind shows us that there is unlimited knowledge, and the yogi called that unlimited knowledge God. Sapurvesham api guruhu kalena ana avachedat. Shlok 26. He is the teacher of even the ancient teachers, being not limited by time. It is true that all knowledge is within ourselves, but this has to be called forth by another knowledge. Although the capacity to know is inside us, it must be called out. And that calling out of knowledge can only be done. A yogi maintains through another knowledge. Death, insentient matter, never calls out knowledge. It is the action of knowledge that brings out knowledge. Knowing being must be with us to call forth what is in us. So, these teachers were always necessary. The world was never without them. No knowledge can come without them. Without them, no knowledge can come without them. God is a teacher of all the teachers because this teacher, however great they may have been, God or angel, were all bound and limited by the time, while God is not. There are two peculiar deductions of the yogis. The first is that in thinking of the limited, the mind must think of the unlimited, and that if one part of the perception is true, also must the other be, for the reason that their value of his perception of the mind is equal. The very fact that man has a little knowledge shows that God has unlimited knowledge. If I am to take one, why not the other? Reason forces me to take both or reject both. If I believe that there is a man with a little knowledge, I must also admit that there is someone behind him with unlimited knowledge. The second deduction is that no knowledge can come without a teacher. It is true, as a modern philosophers say, that there is something in man which evolves out of him. All knowledge is in man, but certain environments are necessary to call it out. We cannot find any knowledge without teachers. If there are men teachers, God teachers, and angel teachers. They are all limited. Who was the teacher before them? We are forced to admit, as a last conclusion, one teacher who is not limited by time, and that one teacher of infinite knowledge without beginning or end is God. Tasya vachakaha pranavaha, Shlok 27. This manifestation word is Om. Every idea that you have in the mind has a counterpart in the word. The word and a thought are inseparate. The external part of one and the same thing is what we call word, and the internal part is what we call thought. No man can, by analysis, separate thoughts from word. The idea that language was created by men, certain men sitting together and deciding upon words, has been proved to be wrong. So long as man has existed, there have been words and language. What is the connection between an idea and a word? Although we see that there must always be a word with a thought, it is not necessary that same thought requires the same word. The thought may be the same in 20 different countries and the language is different. We must have a word to express each thought, but these words need not necessarily have the same sound. Sound will vary in different nations. Our commentator says, although the relation between thoughts and the word is perfectly natural, yet it does not mean a rigid connection between one sound and one idea. This sound vary at the relationship between sound and the thought is the natural one. The connection between thoughts and the sound is good only if there is a real connection between the things significant and the symbol. Until then, the symbol will never come into general use. A symbol is the manifestation of the thing signified, and if the thing signified has already an existence, and if by experience we know that the symbol has expressed that things many times, then we are sure that there is a real relation between them. Even if the things are not present, there will be thousands who will know them by their symbols. There must be a natural connection between a symbol and the thing significant. Then, when the symbol is pronounced, it recalls the thing significant. The commanders say the manifestation word of God is Om. Why does he emphasizes this word? There are hundreds of words for God. One thought is connected with thousand words. The idea, God, is connected with hundreds of words, and each one stand has a symbol of God. Very good. But there must be a generalized among all these words, some substratum, some common ground of all these symbols, and that which is common symbol will be the best and will really represent them all. In making a sound, we use the larynx and the palate as a sounding board. Is there any material sound of which all other sounds make a manifestation, must be manifested or manifestation, one which is the most natural? Om is such a sound that is based on all sounds. The first letter O, the root sound, the key, pronounced without touching any part of the tongue or palate. Ma represents the last sound in the series. They produce by closing the lips, and oo rolls out from the very root of the end of the sounding board of the mouth. Thus, Om represents the whole phenomena of sound producing. As such, it must be natural symbol, the matrix of all the various sounds. It denotes the whole range and possibility of all the words that can be made. Apart from this peculation, we see that around this word Om are central all the different religion ideas in India. All the various religious ideas of the Vedas are gathered themselves around the word Om. What has that to do with America and England or any other country? Simply this, that the word has been retained at very stage of religious growth in India, and it has been manipulated to mean all the various ideas about God. Monist, dualist, monodualist, separatist, and even the atheist took up this Om. Om has become the one symbol for the religious aspiration of the various majority of human beings. Take, for instance, the English word God. It covers only the limited function, and if you go beyond it, you have to add adjectives to have to make it personal and impersonal or absolute God. So, with the word for God is every other language, their significance is very small. This word Om, however, has around it all the various significations. As such, it should be accepted by everyone. Shlok 28. The repetition of Om and meditation of on its meaning is the way. Why should there be repetition? We have forgotten the theory of samskara, that the sum total of impression lives in the mind. They become more and more latent but remain there, and as soon as they get the right stimulus, they come out. Molecular vibration never ceases. When this universe is destroyed, all the massive vibration disappear. The moon, the sun, the star, the earth melt down, but the vibration remains in the atoms. Each atom performs the same function as the big worlds do. So, even when the vibration of the chitta subsides, the molecular vibration goes on. When they get the impulse come out again, we can now understand what is meant by repetition. It is greatest stimulus that can be given into the spiritual samskaras. One moment of company with the holy mix of ship, a ship to cross this ocean of life. Such is the power of association. So, this repetition of Om and thinking of its meaning is keeping good company in your own mind. Study and then meditate on what you have studied. Thus, light with will come to you. The self will become manifest. But one must think of Om and of its meaning too. Avoid evil company because the scars of old wounds are in you, and evil company is just the thing that is necessary to call them out. In the same way, we are told that good company will, call out the good impressions that are in us, but which have become latent. There is nothing wholer in the world than to keep good company, because the good impressions will then tend to come to the surface. Shlok 29. From that is gained the knowledge of introspection and destruction of obstacles. The first manifestation of the repetition and thinking of Om is that the introspective power will manifest more and more. All the mental and physical obstacles will begin to vanish. What are the obstacles to the yogi? Shlok 30. First, Shlok 30. Disease, that is Vyadhi, mental laziness, that is Tyana, doubt, that is Samshaya, lack of enthusiasm, Pramada, Nithari, Alasya, clinging of sense enjoyment, clinging to sense to sense enjoyments, Virati, Virati, false perception, Bhranti, false perception, that is Bhranti Darshan, non-attending concentration, that is Avalamba Bhumi, and falling away from the state when obtained are the obstacles, distractions. Okay. Disease. The body is the boat which will carry us to the other shore of the ocean of life. It must be taken care of. Unhealthy person cannot be a yogi. Mental laziness makes us lose all living interest in the subject, without which there will never be the will nor energy to practice. Doubt will arise in the mind about the truth of the science, however strong one's intellectual conviction may be, until certain peculiar psychic experience come, as hearing and seeing or at the distance, etc. This glimpse strengthens the mind and makes the student preserver. Falling away when obtained. Some days or weeks when you are practicing, the mind will be calm and easily concentrated, and you will find yourself progressing fast. All of a sudden, the progress will stop one day, and you will find yourself as it were stranded, persevered, perceiver. All progress proceeds by such rise and fall. Shlok 31. Grief, mental distress, tremor of the body, irregular breathing accompany non-retention of the concentration. Concentration will bring perfect repose of mind and body every time it is practiced. When the practice has been misdirected or not enough controlled, this disturbance come. Repetition of Om, self-surrendering to the Lord, will strengthen the mind and bring fresh energies. The nerves shaking will come to almost everyone. Do not mind them at all, but keep on practicing. Practice will cure them and make the seed firm. Shlok 32. To remedy this, the practice of one subject should be made. To remedy this, practice of one subject should be made. Making the mind take the form of one object for some time will destroy this obstacle. This is general advice. In the following aphorism, it will be explained and practiced. As one practice cannot suit everyone, various methods will be advanced, and everyone by actual experience will find out what which helps him most. Shlok 33. Shlok 33. Friendship, Maitri, mercy, Karuna, gladness, Mudit, and indifference being thought of in regard to subjects happy, unhappy, good, evil, respectively, passive, the chitta. We must have these four sort of ideas. We must have friendship for all. We must have mercy, be merciful towards those who are misery. When people are happy, we ought to be happy, and when wicked, we must be indifferent. So, with all subject that comes before us, if the subject is good one, we shall feel friendly towards it. If the subject of thought is one that is miserable, we must be merciful towards it. If it is good, we must be glad. If it is evil, we must be indifferent. This attitude of mind towards the different subject that comes before it will make the mind peaceful. Most of our difficulties in our daily life come from being unstable to hold our minds in these ways. For instance, if a man does evil to us, instantly we want to react evil. And every reaction of evil shows that we are not able to hold the chitta down. It comes out in waves towards the subject, and we lose our power. Every reaction in the form of hatred or evil is so much loss to the mind, and every evil thought and deed of hatred or any thought of reaction, if it is controlled, will be laid in our favor. It is not that we lose by thus ourselves, we regain infinitely more than we suspect. Each time we suppress hatred or a feeling of anger, it is so much good energy stored up in our favor that piece of energy will be converted into higher power. Shlok 24. By throwing out and restraining the breath. By throwing out and restraining the breath. The word used is pran. Pran is not exactly breath. It is the name of energy that is in the universe. Whatever you see in the universe, whatever moves and or works or have life is manifestation of pran. The sum total of energy displayed in the universe is called as pran. This pran becomes a cycle begins. Before a cycle begins, remains in almost motionless state, and when the cycle begins, this pran begin to manifest itself. It is this pran that is manifested as motion, has the nervous motion in human being or animals, and the same pran is manifested as the thoughts and so on. The whole universe is a combination of pran and akash. So is the human body. Out of akash you get the different materials that you feel and see, and out of pran all the various forces. Now, this throwing out and restraining of pran is called as pranayam. Patanjali, the father of yoga philosophy, does not give very many peculiar directions about pranayam, but later on, other yogis found out various things about this pranayam and made of it a great science. With Patanjali, it is one of the many ways, but he does not lay much stress on it. He means that you simply throw the air out and draw it in and hold it for some time. That is all, and by that the mind will become a little calmer. But later on, you will find that out of this is evolved a particular science called pranayam. We shall hear a little of what these later yogis have to say. Some of these I have told you before, but a little repetition will serve to fix it in your minds. First, you must remember that this pran is not the breath, but that which causes the motion of the breath, and that which is the vitality of the breath is the pran. Again, the word pran is used for the breath. Again, the word pran is used for all the senses. They are all called pranas. The mind is called pran. And so we see that pran is force. And yet we cannot call it force because force is the only the manifestation of it. It is that which manifests itself as force, and everything else is its way of motion. The chitta, the mind stuff, is the engine which draws in the pran from the surrounding and manufactures out the pran. The various vital forces, those that keep the body in preservation, and the thoughts, will, and all other powers. By the above mentioned process of breathing, we can control all various motions in the body and the various nerve currents that are running through the body. First, we begin to recognize them and then we slowly get control over them. Now, these later yogis consider that there are three many currents of this pran in the human body. One they call Ida, the other they call Pingala, third one they call Sushumna. Pingala, according to them, is the one third is the right side of the spinal cord. Pingala, according to them, is the right side of the spinal cord, and the Ida is the left. In the middle of the spinal cord is Sushumna, an empty channel. Ida and Pingala, according to them, are the currents working in every man, and through these currents, we are performing all functions of life. Sushumna is present much in all, has a possibility, but it works only in the yogi. You must remember that yogi changes the body. You must practice, your body changes. You must remember that yoga changes the body. As you go on practicing, your body changes. It is not the same body that you had before the practice. That is very rational and can be explained because every new thought that we have must make, as it were, a new channel through the brain, and that explains the tremendous conversation of human nature. Human nature likes to run through the ruts that are already there because it is easy. If we think just for example's sake that the mind is like a needle and the brain substance a soft lump before it, then each thought that we have makes a street as it were in the brain, and this street would close up. But for the grey matter which comes and makes a lining in to keep it separate. If there were no gray matter, there would be no memory because memory makes going over these old streets, retracing a thought as it were. Now, perhaps you have marked that when you talk on a subject in which one takes a few ideas that are familiar to everyone and combines and recombines them. It is easy to follow because these channels are present in every brain and it is only necessary to reoccur to them. But whenever a new subject comes, new channels have to be made. So it is not understood readily. And that is why it is the brain and not the people themselves, refuse unconsciously to the acted upon the idea of the new ideas. It resists. The pran is trying to make new channels and the brain will not allow it. This is a secret and of the conversation. The fewer channels there have been in the brain and the less the needle of the pran has made these passages, the more conservative will be the brain and the more it will struggle against the thought. The more thoughtful the man, the more complicated will be the street in the brain and the more easily he will take new ideas and understand them. So with every fresh idea we make a new impression in the brain, cut new channels through the brain stuff, and that is why we need or find that in the practice of yoga it begins an entirely new set of thoughts and motives. There is so much physical resistance at first. That is why we find that the part of religion which deals with the world side of nature is so widely accepted, while the other part, the philosophy or the psychology, which deals with the inner nature of man, is so frequently neglected. We must remember the definition of the world of ours. It is only the infinite existence projected into the plane of consciousness. A little of the infinite is projected into consciousness, and that we call our world. So there is an infinite beyond, and the religion has dealt with both, with the lump of we called our world and with the infinite beyond. Any religion which deals with one of these two will be defective. It must deal with both. The part of religion which deals with the part of infinite which has come into the planes of consciousness, got itself caught as it were in the plane of unconsciousness, in the cage of time, in the space and causation, in a quite familiar to us because we are in that already, and ideas about this world have been with us almost for time immemorial. The part of religion which deals with the infinite beyond comes entirely new to us, and getting ideas about its production or produce new channels of it in the brain, disturbing the whole system. And that is why you find it prac- in the practice of yoga. Ordinary people are at first turned out of their grooves in order to lessen this disturbance as much as possible. All these methods are devised by and that we may practice any one of them best suited to us.